Trading in the Nigerian equities market kicked off the week positively as investors' demand for MTN Nigeria saw the all-share index advance to 9.2% year-to-date. Muktar Mohammed, capital market analyst at Assar Investments, joins me for a market focus. Muktar, thank you for joining us today. Of course, investors very happy with MTN Nigeria right now. We saw that the company announcing the oversubscription by 139%, and additional shares had to be unlocked and allocated. Just talk to us about market expectations for MTN going forward.
Well, I think it's a good thing, especially when you look at 90% of the subscribers are first-time player of the capital market. And for me, that's a good point that I've seen in that. And then going forward, I think we'll need to begin to look at the numbers from MTN that will determine whether what we're getting is anything to go by. We'll continue to see those capital appreciation. But I am also excited that share is listed, and most Nigerians now are owners of these shares, and then there will be a lot of activity on that space, and we'll be able to scrutinize the result. The result that just came out of recent, no doubt, it's a good result. But going forward, we want to see those numbers keep on improving, especially knowing that the MTN is going to become a 5G player also, and then they will be paying for that also. And then we mustn't forget the point that the current investment that were done by the investors, the money is not allocated to MTN Nigeria as a company. It's going to most of the majority shareholders. So we'll see how it plays out in the long term. For the short term, I think it's exciting. For the long term, I think there's a lot of prospects.
We'll definitely be keeping watching that stock throughout the year. Now, it's the first trading day for the month of February. January ended yesterday. Talk to us about, it looks like I've lost Muktar there. Well, that was Muktar Mohammed, the capital market analyst at Assar Investments. Do I have him back? Okay, there you are, Muktar. Yeah. I have you back. Sorry about that. I was just talking about your forecast for February. What should we expect? January wasn't a bad month for the market, but what should we expect in February?
I think February we should expect same, especially investors taking position in high dividend-paying stocks. And you're seeing that beginning to play out with equity like Access Bank, Zenith Bank, and GT, Gisco. So we'll see those begin to play out, especially then you see the conglomerates also when we see those numbers coming up. Those are most of the things that are going to be played out. Taking position for the dividend payout, especially knowing that stocks like Zenith and I think Assar have already notified us that they have finished their audited report. They've sent it to the regulators, and they will be paying dividends. I think that's exciting investors, especially when liquidity is king at the moment.
Well, what do you think about the numbers that have been reported so far by the likes of ETI, Stanbic, Fidelity, Flour Mills, Guinness Nigeria, Total Energies? I know ETI saw an 11% growth in revenue. Fidelity saw a 18% rise, but Stanbic IBTC actually saw a 12% drop in revenue. What are your thoughts?
IBTC was the surprise expected, but IBTC is the only surprise that I see there. And but again, it could not be so much of a surprise knowing that their quarterly results have not been as exciting as fantastic or exciting investors as the previous year. So that is not so much of a surprise. But I think the numbers we were expecting maybe something lower than that. They have been up to 12%. Is because it should. Fidelity has been one stock that has been doing well over the years, and they are one of the strongest stocks when you talk about the tier 2 bank. I think that also is very exciting for investors, and they have been paying for the past 6 to 7 years, so they've not relented in paying of the dividend between 18 kobo to 15 kobo to 11 kobo. So then that also, I think, is exciting investors and knowing that it's also a penny stock. Then when you look at ETI, from where they are coming from, it's a good news to see that the numbers have started looking positive. Because this one stock that was hit mostly by the COVID-19 pandemic in terms of the result that came out, knowing that they are a Pan-African bank. So for seeing the numbers getting better is very encouraging, and I think that's why investors are beginning to put their eyes on that ETI shares.
Now, of course, the performance of many companies, or should I say companies are depending on the performance of the economy this year and a further strengthening of the economic recovery that we're all betting on for this year. How bullish would you say investors are, these companies are, on a firmer economic recovery in 2022?
Well, when you look at economic recovery in terms of activities, in terms of growth, you could be positive about it. But in terms of bullish, in terms of economy, in terms of the macroeconomic stability, I think what we'll be seeing, we'll be seeing a wait and see approach, especially knowing that we are in an election year where governance take the second seat in Nigeria. So I normally jokingly say, I say we're going to see governance for the next 6 months. After that, we might not see any governance again. So that is when we begin to know where really the economy is heading to us. And when the pendulum is shifting, when we see who are the presidential candidates, those also begin to give us a perspective of what we're expecting the economy. But when you look at the forecast, you're very optimistic, could be bullish. But in going forward, you know that we are going to have serious problem with inflation. We're going to see how we are going to get out. It's already said by the World Bank that Nigeria might have the highest inflation in the world. And also, we mustn't forget that we're still dealing with that exchange rate volatility. And we are in the end to that yet. There's not been any policy that will tell you that there's an end to that. The only end we could see in that is maybe in an election year, you might have more of the greenbacks circulating in the economy, especially if they are held by politicians. Outside of that, there's nothing concrete to you. And so that, with that, it means that you might not be attracting the foreign direct investors or the portfolio investors until after the election. So when you look at that, and by and by, you can't be too optimistic. Neither will you say you're not optimistic. In terms of the numbers, you may be optimistic, but in terms of the environment and the perception that will come, especially from the international committee, it's something that we need to wait and see.